Space Wolves are here. What's worth using and what is not?
Find out.
Hello and welcome to Miniatures Rundown. Today talking about the new and upcoming Space Wolves release. First time the Space Wolves have gotten new miniatures for a hot minute.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they did for 9th edition, and I literally can't remember.
The Hounds of Mordecai, the not Reavers that nobody...
The new Space
Yeah,
Marine
yeah,
miniatures.
exactly. Like slightly colored. Hey, they had slightly new kits. And there have been some, one-offs in between here and there. Space Wolves are, very... They're, non-codex compliant would be the word for it.
Yeah, probably the most so.
They're a chapter that really runs on a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
Like more so than like Dark Angels, where you've got your your inner circle and your heroes, or for Ultramarines, you've got your honor guard. Space Wolves are one of the ones where it's like no, it's just like everything different.
Yes, they have some of the most unique units in all of the non-codex compliant chapters. Looking at you, Blood Angels.
Although they did lose one. They lost the Stormfang.
They lost the Stormfang kit. They also lost the Hounds of Mordecai. Not in here.
Well, yep. I mean, and nothing of value was lost.
Nothing.
I didn't realize they'd lost that.
They got rid of it
because no one took them.
Yeah, they're like Reavers, but worse.
I think apparently they actually were like used at some point. I could be wrong on that.
And then the scouts came out and they're like, just throw these away.
We don't talk about the scouts making everything else redundant because there's a very long list of things the scouts made redundant in a lot of codexes. But anyway, obviously we got a host of 4 or 5 new kits.
Yes.
Half of them heroes, but still.
I'll take it.
Coming out in this new release along with their the solo release of their their new book. It is their new book.
It is
their Codex supplement. So let's talk about what's in it and what it's in it that is new and different. And is it going to be worth taking in Year of Our Fenris Lord 2025? Year of Our Wolf God.
Year of Our Wolf God. So I think basically all of these, it shows where they're at with their codexes, their codex releases. I think everything's pretty good. Everything's pretty balanced.
Remember, 1 year until 11th edition.
Anyway, so we are going to start off with an upgraded model, but a downgrade in my heart is Logan Grimnar
because he's no longer Space Santa.
He's no longer Space Santa. He lost the sled.
I know that this is very divisive because I'm on team I love the goofy crap like that.
Yeah.
But I am also not a Space Wolves player, so clearly I don't love it that much. Because
That's
if
true.
I loved it that much, I would own a Santa. And I don't. This is far more serious business Space Wolves. All of these are.
Yes, they are.
But Santa lost his sleigh, but he still has his dog friends.
He does still have his dog friends. What are they? Tiernak and Fenrir.
Of course, one of them is Fenrir. I'm sure Tiernak is another reference to something else.
Yeah. So he is the leader of the faction. Basically, the closest you can get to not the Primarch. He's the chapter
master, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yep, he is the chapter master. And he is a big old Terminator. He has a movement 6, toughness of 5, 2 up, 4 up like a normal Terminator. 8 wounds because those dogs give him more than just extra attacks.
Yeah, they count.
Leadership 6 and 1 OC. They don't give any OC though. He has deep strike because he's a Terminator. He has a normal storm bolter. Nothing special about that. But he's not meant to be shooting. He's meant to be punching.
That is fair. I lament him not getting a different gun, but
nah,
why you playing Space Wolves?
He do punchy. He has the axe. Not the Axe of Mordecai, it is called Axe Mordecai, which has the strike at 6 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 8 AP 2, 3 damage, or 10 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 6 AP 2, 1 damage. I don't like only 1 damage on a sweep, but
no, this is something we talked a lot about with Lionel Johnson,
yes,
where the sweep went down to 1 and then went back up to 2, and that was a really big buff to it.
It is.
How many attacks on the sweep again? Is it
10?
10. Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, you'll probably wipe out a guardsman unit, right?
Oh yeah.
But
this is not including his 6 wolf attacks that he gets.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Strength 5 AP 1 damage,
which I'm assuming can't be buffed because they're
extra attacks. So
attacks
you can't get more attacks, but you can buff them in other ways.
Okay, yeah. And obviously he's got deep strike. He's got any other special rules on?
Yeah, he does. Once per battle round in your movement phase, you can select 1 Space Wolves unit that is in strategic reserves. If you do, until the end of the phase, for the purpose of setting them up on the battlefield, treat the current battle round as 1 higher than it actually is. So you can put a unit directly on the battlefield on turn 1.
Yep. So handy if you're bringing the other new Terminators.
Exactly. Or you can bring in a reserve in your opponent's deployment on up to turn 2.
Right, which is
Very strong.
handy if you're bringing a unit of Terminators.
Yep.
He's got a 4-up invuln, you said?
He's a 4-up invuln.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
2
his
up, 4-up.
Yep.
Like Terminator armor.
his last ability is the Vect ability. If your opponent uses a stratagem within 12 inches of him, it increases the cost by 1.
So Lionel has something like that, I believe. And it's very good.
It's very good. It is one of the premier abilities that's like automatically bumps them up a tier. If they
Yes. The better ones are the ones that make them use it and then they don't even get to keep it. They just eat the command point.
Oh,
But those are rare.
Yeah,
and that's like Primarch level. He's not Primarch level.
No, he's not
Chapter
Primarch
Master level.
Yep.
I don't know. I'd say he's on par with other Chapter Masters.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
So do we know his points yet?
He is 110 points.
Okay, so he doesn't really buff your own troops like in a bubble.
Nope. He doesn't actually do anything for the unit he's in.
No, he doesn't. And he has to be on the field to make that deep strike ability count, right?
No. Abilities still count in the... If your unit is in reserves, they still get their abilities as long as you don't have to measure.
So that could apply to his Terminator unit.
Could apply to his unit.
Okay.
Okay,
So
I like that.
he's not like... So Azrael obviously is like a Chapter Master.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of who's, I mean, only a little bit more expensive. What the heck?
Yeah.
I actually think 110 is not too bad for what he is.
Yeah,
Because
110 's
he's
pretty
not buffing up. I mean, a Terminator Captain is going to do more for making your Terminators actually hit harder.
Yeah, or like make the charge, or
No.
blah, blah, blah.
He hits pretty hard himself. 6 attacks with, what, AP 2-3 damage, you
Yep.
said? That hurts.
That does.
He's only normal Terminator durable, but he does have 8 wounds.
He does have 8 wounds.
Which is not a small amount. I don't know. I think for 110 points, if you are planning on running a drop in, and we'll talk about, obviously, his stock rises or falls with the other Terminators.
Right, which we will talk about later because they also got a new kit.
Right. And new rules. Because there's Wolfguard Terminators, and then there's the special...
The regular Terminators.
the
Yeah.
regular big boy Terminators.
He can only be attached to Wolfguard Terminators.
Oh, okay. So...
Only Wolfguard Terminators. They did a thing in this book where they tried to make the codex non-compliant very, very clear in that Space Wolf stuff can only go with Space Wolves, non-Space Wolf
Which
stuff.
I'm okay with.
I don't mind that either.
Because you can still use the other stuff.
Yeah, you can still use it. They
Right.
just, like, the Space Marine only stuff can go together, and this...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
So by himself at 110 points, yeah.
I think he's pretty good.
If you are using the strategy of dropping in Wolf Terminators in somewhere, to be hammer work, which is a viable strategy, as we've seen from, again, I know I keep bringing up Dark Angels, but it's the one I play.
Yeah, it's the only place. And they are the only, Blood Angels, but they're the only real other comparison we have.
Right, because Deathwing Knights dropping in and murderizing something is a very viable strategy.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess I know we're going to skip over some heroes, but let's talk about the Wolfguard Terminators
No.
next.
Okay.
Because I think that is going to be integral to
How good he is.
the viability of a fair few of these things.
Yes. How good he is and how good they are.
Because at a glance, at 110 points, yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah. So right now we're going to talk about the Wolfguard Terminators. They have very, very similar stat line. Movement 6, toughness 5, 2 up, 4 up, 3 wounds, 6 leadership, 1 AOC, normal.
Movement 6.
Movement.
That's
different.
different.
I guess that is
That's different.
That is different.
Hold on.
They basically increased the speed of all of your normal stuff by 1.
But only your Space Wolves normal stuff.
Only your Space Wolves normal stuff.
Like, say, like your normal, I was going to say TAC Marines. Those aren't in the...
No.
Your normal Intercessors ain't going up by
No.
But
The,
your Wolfy stuff is.
Yes, what are they called? Gray Hunters. Gray
Yes.
Hunters are speed 7.
Okay. So that does help because Terminators are painfully slow when they
that's
get on the battlefield.
One of the downsides about them. Of course, they're Terminators. They have Deep Strike. They have Stormbolters. They only get one ranged option other than Stormbolter, which is the Assault Cannon.
Your Space Wolf, you don't care.
Also, strangely, BS 2 up on both these weapons, which is weird for just normal Terminators.
Yeah. Well, these guys are kind of the elite.
They're the elite, but their melee is only a 3 up on everything. Everything comes with a mastercrafted power weapon. They can exchange the power weapon for either can have their Stormbolter replaced with the Storm Shield to increase their wounds by 1. Goes up to 4, which is very, very strong. And the leader can replace his mastercrafted weapon and Stormbolter with a Relic Shield or Relic Great Axe or Twin Lightning Claws.
Okay.
So upgrade your melee game. Their ability is the old, what is it? I don't remember. Each time an attack targets this unit, if the strength is higher than their toughness, reduce the wound roll by 1.
Oh, okay.
So that is I want to say armor contempt, but it's
No, and I can't. I don't even know what you're talking about, honestly.
Oh yeah, you didn't play much last edition.
No.
Last edition there was every single unit for Space Marine.
Your toughness 5.
Toughness 5.
So this makes them, that combined with the shields makes them fairly tough.
Yes.
Because most Terminator weapons are strength 6 or higher to wound Terminators on 3, and then they do 3 damage to kill them in one shot. You're making those weapons way less efficient.
Oh yeah.
Now, if someone blasts you with a melt-a-gun, okay, whatever. If someone blasts you with a melt-a-gun,
yeah,
you still have
the 4-up invuln to try and ignore it.
But 3 damage things get a lot less efficient when you have a 4 wound guy.
Yeah.
On top of, now most of your 3 damage stuff is only going to be wounding on 4s.
Yes.
Which is also a pretty nice buff.
Yeah.
And you said, how many points are they?
They are 170.
All right. So here's the thing. They're not actually that much better in melee than normal Terminators. Because Mastercraft Power Weapon is what stats?
4 attacks, strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage.
Okay, so it is at least 2 damage. Better than because Power Fists are D3, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Power Fists are... Oh, no. Power Fists are straight 2.
Oh, Power Fists are straight 2.
Power Fists are straight 2. So their downside for a Power Fist is 1 less... That you can get a Power Fist. I was incorrect.
Oh, okay.
When you take the Assault Cannon, you also get a Power Fist.
Okay.
So they're strength 8, AP 2, 2 damage. So they get 1 less attack. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same. So yeah, they're pretty similar. The Relic Great Axe that you can take is strength 7, AP 2, 3 damage, devastating wounds.
Yes, that's good.
That
So that's their premier. They
only get 1 of those.
They lose the better ranged options that some Terminators have in favor of a better melee option and the Storm Shields.
Yes.
I think if you're going to run these, you're going to run them all melee with the shields.
Yeah, definitely.
There is an argument to running them with the Storm Bolters because it gives you flexibility, but only against guard equivalent.
Yeah, the Assault Cannon's great. The Storm Bolters are not great.
Yeah, I could see running the Storm Bolters on everybody, or the Assault Cannon on everybody. Storm Bolters are fine if you're going into guard, but you don't know that ahead of time.
Yeah.
I definitely think that I don't think they're going to be quite Deathwing Knight durable.
I agree.
And they might not be quite... Actually, their weapons actually are kind of better than Deathwing Knights, because Deathwing Knights kind of have not great weapons.
And their Deathwing Knights like 200 and something points.
Yes, but they're far more durable.
Yeah, they are
Deathwing
crazy
Knights
strong.
combined between the faction and the Deathwing Knights are drop in and be an immovable brick.
Yes.
I don't think these are that.
I agree. I think they're a little more on... Well, no, I was going to say more on the offense side, but the Deathwing Knights are also very offensive.
Yes. But these are a lot cheaper.
They are.
So, yeah, I think putting these guys with Logan Grimnir and having them be
pretty tough, pretty killy.
Yeah.
I like it.
And the shields also mean that you could have them on the board early and make them screen or something like that because they're going to be fairly difficult to kill. A 4-up invulnerable with 4 wounds is never easy to kill.
No.
Unless you have just amazing amounts of devastating wounds.
Yeah, 4 is always the weird number of wounds because, 2 damage will kill in 2 hits anyway.
Yes.
But anything like above or below that makes them way stronger.
The big guns that you would normally want to bring against them are going to be less efficient, which is good.
I like that. I think they're pretty good. I think they could probably come down a little bit in points, but not too much.
It's hard to say.
Regular Terminators.
It's also hard to say is if that 2-up BS is a typo or not.
That's fair.
Because that seems wrong.
Yeah, maybe that's them going like, come on, you should take some ranged option. And we're like, no, we want shields.
Because, I mean, a 2-up BS with all those Storm Bolters is, like, actually
kind of not bad.
Pretty good.
Anyway. Then we go back to the next named character, which is Njal Stormcaller.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy, y'all. He is the named librarian. He's a psyker. He's speed 7, toughness 4, 3-up, 4-up save, wounds 4. Only wounds 4 is a little weird, but leadership 6, 1 OC. He has a bolt pistol and living lightning ranged weapons. The Witchfire of living lightning is strength 7, AP 1, 1 damage, D6 shots with sustained 1. No, sustained 2 and pistol.
Okay.
And then the focused is the exact same, except it's 2d6 shots and hazardous.
Okay. And he's the named what?
Librarian.
What? You mean Rune Priest?
I mean Rune Priest.
You use the P word there.
I
That is
did.
a word we don't use. It's a Rune Priest.
Psyker is right.
It's not a psyker.
Right there.
How dare you? Rune Priest.
Rune Priest. Rune Priest. He also has the Staff of the Stormcaller, which is 1 melee, which is his 1 melee attack. It is sustained hits 2 as well. 4 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 7, AP 1, D3 damage. D3.
Now he's not in Terminator armor, right?
He is not in Terminator armor. He can go with Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, or the Wolfguard Head Takers.
All right. So what are his abilities?
He has Wind Walker, not Wind Waker. Yeah, he turns that staff over. It's a flute.
Yeah.
When this model is leading a unit, ranged weapons have the assault keyword. And each time that unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, you automatically move 6 extra inches.
That is the good part.
That is very strong.
So assault, if you don't remember, if for some reason you don't remember, means you can shoot them after advancing.
Yep.
At -1 to hit.
No, they got rid of that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Never mind. So you can shoot them after advancing.
Yep.
And auto advance 6 and still being able to shoot. Now, doesn't let you charge after advancing.
Doesn't let you charge after
unless you already have that rule, which I don't think you do. But you don't really care. You're not putting this guy with a melee unit, really. You're putting this guy with a...
Yeah, he's got some all right melee. I think he's a little bit of mixed, which is interesting that he can go with the... I think he's the best in the Grey Hunters. Because the Grey Hunters is also a little bit mixed.
Yes.
Whereas the Blood Claws and the Head Takers are both basically just pure melee.
Right. Yeah, because you're giving them the ability to either shoot while advancing to get some damage in while they're closing, or what I prefer it as is that just makes a very mobile unit that can get some damage while still moving around the board.
Yes. It should be noted that Blood Claws can charge after advancing.
Okay.
So speed 7, auto advance 6.
There you go.
Shoot advance charge.
That's what I was wondering is who had that built in. So,
Yep.
And how many points is he?
He is 85 points.
Pretty good for 85 points.
Pretty
We'll have to
good.
protect him. He has a 4 invulnerable.
4 up and one.
Which is not...
only 4 wounds because he's a
Sure, but
Rune Priest.
you're putting him in a unit. He's
Yeah.
got some bubble wrap. He's
Blood
got
Claws can go up to 20 man.
which is a lot of shots.
That's a lot of bubble wrap.
Yeah. And the 4 up invulnerable makes precision shots less valuable against them because they're like, haha, I'm gonna shoot at your guy with my sniper rifle. All right, 4 up invul.
Yeah, and most snipers I think are 3 damage.
Yeah, most snipers aren't one plonking most heroes.
Generally not.
Except for some very weak like guard and GSC heroes.
Mhm.
But it's more like the threat of it.
Yeah. He does have one more ability, which is Tempest's Wrath. It is a psychic ability. In your shooting phase, after this model's unit has shot, select one enemy unit, excluding monsters or vehicles, hit by 1 or more of the attacks made by the living lightning weapon. Until the start of your next turn, that enemy is storm racked. Subtract 6 from the ranged characteristic of their ranged weapons to a minimum of 12.
What's the range on his attack?
24.
Okay. So you're hitting somebody with something, and if you're hitting somebody at your max range, you could potentially subtract 6 inches from their attacks.
Yeah.
I mean, hitting, if you're maybe at like, here's a fun one. You could be outside of like 12 inches. You hit somebody with a flamer, and the flamer goes down to 6-inch range.
No, it's to a minimum of 12.
Oh, a minimum of 12. Okay, missed that. Sorry.
So you could reduce a Melta down to a 12-inch range.
Yep. Multi-melta down to 12.
Multi-melta
Meltas are
down to
12.
12. Yeah,
Multi-meltas are 18. Yeah, I mean, for someone reducing my plasma gun's range from 12 to, or 24 to 18,
Ooh,
that
that's
hurts.
actually a good point because it would reduce the rapid fire range as well.
Yes, it would reduce rapid fire quite a lot. So that's kind of a defensive maneuver.
Yeah, it's I don't know how I feel about it. I like the auto run 6 a lot better, but both is not bad.
But yeah, but that doesn't cost you anything to take.
No.
So, and it's just free.
Yeah.
So, you could use it.
I wish his damage profile was a little bit better, but I think he supports the unit he's in really well.
Yeah, he's a buff piece.
Yep. Ulrich did not get a new model. Pass. Aryak.
Gazoon type.
Arjak Rockfist. I don't like that it's Arjak and Niall.
Our Jack or your Jack?
Our Jack.
Our Jack, comrade.
He is another Terminator. Can only go in Terminator. Wolfguard Terminator.
Noticing
unit.
a pattern here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because their Grotmus detachment was also for Terminators.
Yep.
Whatever.
Terminators.
No, I wanted a big stompy robot detachment. I wanted only dreadnoughts.
Play Iron Hands.
They didn't give me one. Shut up. He has the same profile, except he's as what's his name, Logan. Except he's 6 wounds instead of 8.
Okay.
He has the foe hammer is his melee and ranged because he throws it like Thor. It is anti-monster 3+, anti-vehicle 3+, and assault.
Okay.
Only range 6, but it has assault, so he can get in range of it. 1 attack, BS2, strength 8, AP2, 3 damage.
Okay.
Melee is the same, except instead of having assault, it has precision, and has 5 attacks. Weapon skill 2, strength 8, AP 2, 3 damage.
Is it still anti-monster, anti-vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
So both of them have anti-monster, anti-vehicle. And interestingly, that like precision and anti-monster, anti-vehicle are basically never going to come into play together.
Very,
Like,
very rarely.
Morven Fall and some
Old
Tyrannid. Yeah, Tyrannid characters. That's about it. I mean, he hits like a truck.
What's his abilities?
He has Deep Strike. Anvil of Endurance. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in the unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought yet, roll a d6 on a 4-up. Do not remove it. Destroyed model can fight and then is removed from play. So fight on death on a 4-up. Pretty good.
Now, I might like him better if Wolfguard Terminators could get chain fists for anti-vehicle.
Oh,
because
yeah,
then you could be a dedicated anti-vehicle can opener.
That's a good point.
But putting him into a unit of Terminators with power fists
Mhm.
and going monster hunting or vehicle hunting,
Yeah.
Those still slap. You know,
Yeah, sounds good.
You'll be wounding tanks on 5s instead of 4s like you would
Yeah.
with a chain fist. But at least you got one guy in there who's really going to hurt.
His last ability is it only benefits himself, unfortunately. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a character, you can re-roll the hit roll and the wound roll.
Okay, that's pretty good too.
That is pretty good.
So really, you're kind of Primarch hunting.
Yeah, you're delivering him to the thing that you really want to die.
And the Terminators around him are just kind of bubble wrap for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, a lot of the big hero characters and monsters are monster keyword. I mean, I think even the Primarchs have monster keyword, don't they?
Primarchs are
So
monsters.
yeah, smacking him into one of those guys can really hurt.
Mhm.
How many points is he?
He is 95 points.
I can see that.
Little less expensive than Logan, and a little more focused in the character / monster hunting.
Yes.
Yeah, it is really funny that he's like really good against Primarchs. Hit and wounds on a 3-up.
That's the big part.
Yeah.
Rerolling hits and wounds hit and wound on 3s is basically you're going to get all your attacks through.
Yeah.
That's quite devastating.
Now that being said, the Lion's still gonna save on a 3-up because it's stupid.
Invulnerable, sure, but I have failed a lot of 3-up saves.
I mean, yeah, you
the
throw
Lion
enough attacks
doesn't
and you
have
will.
that much health after that 3-up.
That's true.
I think the Lion does get strike first though.
Yeah, probably. Oh yeah, it definitely does because I remember charging it with a
yes,
Defiler and getting one shot.
Nani?
Exactly. Up next is the Wolf Priest, which was in the army box. So this isn't new, but it's new since the old codex. It is movement 7, toughness 4, 3-up, 4-up save, 4 wounds, 6 leadership, 1 OC. It has the Absolver Bolt Pistol, which is nothing special, 18 in train, strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. And then the Crozius, which is also nothing special. It has 5 attacks, which is better than it should be. Weapon skill 2, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. The cool part about this guy is Space Wolves used to not be able to get apothecaries.
Right.
Just in the rules of Space Wolves said you couldn't use apothecaries. First of all, you can now.
More or less implied that you just turned into a wolf.
Yeah. First of all, you can now. There's no rule in here saying you can't take anything out of the other book.
Okay.
But this one also has the healing bombs, which is if this model's leading a unit in your command phase, you can return 1 destroyed model to the unit. They can join Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, and Head Takers. Notice a pattern. And also, he adds 1 to the wound rolls of melee attacks to the unit that he's in. So he is the chaplain and
I was about to say, with the Crozius and stuff,
combined.
I kind of thought he was a chaplain. That makes sense for...
Yeah, he's a little both.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to putting this guy on the board because you will notice some high strength later in here. And +1 to wound plus high strength. Oh, I like winning on 2s.
Big things on 2s and 3s is always nice.
He's only 70 points. Which is not that bad.
Yep.
I think because he's like 2 good units combined, but can only be used on Space Wolf stuff, I think he's just going to be like, I don't want to say an auto take, but in a lot of lists.
If you're running melee and you want to wound things with that melee, yes.
Yes. And then reanimating guys is always good.
Yes.
Wolfguard Battle Leader, which is also kind of a combined of a captain and a lieutenant. There's literally nothing special about any of his weapons. He has a bolt carbine, heavy bolt pistol, plasma pistol, mastercrafted power weapon, and a thunder hammer. There's nothing unique in any of those, but they're not bad. He does have 7 attacks with mastercrafted power weapon.
That's a lot.
7's a lot. Also can join Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, Head Takers. You can give him a Storm Shield.
Okay.
In replace of his ranged weapon, which gives him a wounds characteristic of 6 instead of 5. And his abilities are thus. While this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped all weapons equipped by the unit have sustained hits 1. And each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within 6, reroll the hit roll of a 1.
Okay, which so basically good for melee.
Good for melee, and or short range fire. If the unit, his second ability is Heroic Last Stand. If this model is destroyed by a melee attack, if it is not fought on a 2+, do not remove the blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So basically, he fights on death, not the unit fights on death, but it's on a 2+.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, you take him down to the last man. He has a chance to fight back. Again, that's probably going to come up a little less. You'd have to wipe out the whole unit before you get to it unless precision's in play.
Right.
But the sustained hits 1 and potential rerolls in melee, very good.
How many points is he?
Wolf Guard Battle Leader is 65 points.
Okay.
Very
And
cheap.
he goes with the usual suspects?
Yep.
The three main ones?
Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, Head
Okay.
Takers.
Yeah, I can see him taking him. Sustained hits 1 is good.
Mhm.
The fight on death thing is fine.
Yeah,
Kinda-
fight on death.
It's a consolation prize.
Yeah, doing it on the whole unit, fantastic.
But
doing
by
it on
himself-
just the character,
By himself, he also brings a lot of melee punch.
he does.
So, yeah, I can see that.
And pretty cheap. Now there is the usual problem of a character heavy army like this, of opening yourself up to like assassination.
Yes.
Like just
Yes,
them
and they're
just-
not that durable.
they're not that durable. Yes, they are Space Marine durable, but they're not that durable.
Yeah,
they will
and
go down.
40k, and yeah, unless they have a huge vulnerable save.
So not bad. I don't expect him to be spammed that much because while sustained hits 1 is good, you can only really put it on like melee or bolters.
Right.
But he's not bad for 65 points especially. We have the troops, which are the Blood Claws. Starting with the Blood Claws, they have nothing special. They're speed 7, toughness 4, 3 save, 2 wounds, 6 leadership, and OC 2 because they're troops. They have Berserk Charge, like we said earlier. They can advance and charge.
Mm-hmm.
They can go up to a 20-man unit, which is pretty good.
Very rare for Space Marines.
And they all have chainswords and bolt pistols. You can replace the leader's bolt pistol with a plasma pistol and the chainsword with a power weapon.
They're functionally assault marines.
They're
or-
assault marines that you can put in a big squad.
and they start out in units of 10, right?
Yes, they're minimum units of 10.
Yes, that's the big thing. Yes.
135.
So you gotta remember that's
Well, for a 10-man unit, 135.
yeah.
Where a normal 5-man unit's like 80-ish.
They've dropped it a lot.
They
It's
have.
like 70 or 75 now, but it's
Yeah.
still a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
That is, I believe that is more expensive than assault marines are.
Yeah, I think so.
Because of the advance and charge.
Yes, and I think that is
Advance
well
and charge
deserved.
is really good, especially you put them with a guy who is, obviously going to give them a 6-inch auto
Yeah.
advance. Now, the downside is they've only got chainswords, which is lots of attacks, but it's AP1, strength 4, AP1.
1 damage.
1 damage.
They're just death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, you won't really death by 1,000 cuts your way through big monsters or vehicles, probably, because
No.
strength 4 or anything that's 8 or above is really going to give you a hard time. These are kind of your objective grabbers slash chaff clearers.
Definitely that. The other side of that is the Grey Hunters. They get to keep their chainswords, but they also have a bolter.
Yeah. Oh, they're-
They have the exact same stat line, except they're OC3. They shouldn't be OC3. They're also a minimum 10-man unit, but that's as high as they can go.
Yep.
The leader can replace their pistol with a plasma pistol, and their chainsword can be replaced with either a power weapon or a power fist. Their ability is when they make an attack, reroll the wound roll of a 1. If the target is on range of objective, reroll the wound roll instead.
Okay.
So that makes their strength 4 hit a lot better.
Yeah.
Their carbines and their chainswords get way better against Marines that way. And the fact that you can take a power fist or a power weapon, not bad. I'd probably take the power fist every time. That's just me.
How many points?
180. So they're 90 points for a 5-man.
Mm.
So they're a little overcosted for what they do.
Yeah, no, 180 points for a 10-man unit of that because they only have bolters. And the rerolling ones or rerolling wounds on objectives is good. It's still
But-
not a hammer unit,
Yeah.
and it's not a highly mobile unit. Basically, I mean, you don't see. So here's the thing: in normal Space Marines, you only see intercessors as what? You see intercessors as the guys who sit on back with sticky objectives.
Yep.
These guys don't have that.
Nope.
You can't pay 5-man unit costs for them.
Nope.
And they don't have sticky.
They're more expensive than they should be. They don't hold they hold an objective well if they're physically on it.
Yeah,
'cause they're
I wonder
OC3
if the OC3 is meant to
is to make up for that.
because that's like 30 points on an objective in the back.
Yeah.
But that's still 180 points on the objective in the back if
That's
you're
a
using them
lot.
for that.
That's more expensive than Unit of Terminators.
Yes.
Yeah, 180 is too much for
Yeah,
this.
in no possible universe.
If they go down to like 160, 150, something like that, maybe, but 180 is too much.
Yeah.
At a mandatory 10-man unit.
Yeah, if they didn't have to be in 10s, it would be a different story, but
Yeah.
they do. So
The Wolfguard Head Takers. These are a weird unit. They're a 3-man unit that can choose to take 3 wolves. They can go up to, I can't do 6 on one hand. They're a 6-man unit that can go to 6 wolves. But when they start, they split into 2 different units and they start separate on the battlefield. Thanks for the assist. So they're 2 units in 1. So they have
Cody come over and do another hand.
yeah, do it there another hand. Just from off screen, don't even see him. So they got weird stat lines, they got weird rules. Here we go. The head takers themselves are movement 7, toughness 4, 3 up save, 3 wounds, leadership 6, 1 OC. The wolves are speed 10, toughness 4, 6 up save, 1 wound, 8 leadership, no OC. So the head takers are automatically equipped with a heavy bolt pistol, which is a
Strength 4 AP 1 damage.
18-inch range, blah, blah, blah. And a mastercrafted power weapon, which is 4 attacks, strength 5, AP 2 damage. They're automatically equipped with a storm shield, 4 up invuln. You can exchange the normal power weapon and the storm shield for dual power weapons, which just gives you 2 extra attacks.
Okay.
So you can either go a little defensive or more offensive.
And they're in a normal marine body, right?
Normal marine bodies, toughness 4. They have 3 wounds. They actually have one.
Okay, so elite normal marines.
Yep. Their points are weird because you can take just 3 head takers with no wolves for 85 points. You can take 3 head takers and 3 wolves for 110, so it's 25 points to do that.
Okay.
You can take 6 head takers, no wolves for 170.
Okay.
Or 6 head takers, 6 wolves for 210 or 220.
Okay, so it's 25 points per group of... It's 85 points per group of head takers, 25 points per group of wolves.
And you can't take 6 head takers and 3 wolves. That is basically the only combination you can't do.
Okay.
So it's a weird unit, and their abilities are also strange. I don't know what the wolves are for. I'm gonna be real with you. So they get +1 OC if they're within 6 inches of a character.
Okay.
Does not include these guys.
No.
Okay. That's the only ability the wolves have, and they're a 6 save 1 wound. They're gonna die in droves. They're just gonna kill all 6 of them in one.
Right. Do they have attacks?
3 strength. Hitting on 4 is strength 4 AP, nothing 1 damage.
Okay, so that's what they're for. Is for crowd clearing attacks and some.
That's only 18 attacks hitting on 4s.
No, it is. But like, if somebody blasts you with a melt a shot, you put it on the wolf.
No, they're 2 different units.
Oh, they're 2 different. Oh, right.
No, if it went to like 1 12-man unit, I could see that.
Yeah,
but no. The headhunters, on the other hand, at the beginning of the game, they get to select their quarry. Against their quarry, they get devastating wounds and precision.
Okay.
And when their quarry dies, they get swapped to something else.
That's pretty good.
So they basically, your opponent's going to try and play keep away with the 1 unit you picked.
Well, I mean,
and if they don't,
no, they're going to try and just kill that unit because usually they're not. It's not worth just.
Yeah.
Playing keep away. Any other abilities?
No, those are the last one is how they split. At the beginning of the game, they split into 2 different units at max 6 each. That's it.
And it does say the wolves and marines are 2 different units, right?
At the start of the declared battle formation, split this unit into 2 units, 1 containing all the headhunters and 1 containing all the wolves.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, no, because the wolves have OC 0.
Yeah.
So they're not holding objectives for you.
They're not holding objectives unless they're near a character.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the new core rules now make sure that something that is a beast with OC0 can't do
actions,
secondaries or actions anymore. No more Tyranid spore mines.
They can count as models, like if you need like what is it? Behind enemy lines, they count for that.
Okay, I mean that might be a use for them.
And they're fast, they're speed 10, but like I'm having a hard time.
I mean, if they get into my guardsmen, that's a bad thing, right?
I guess.
because they'll eat them, but
They will eat them.
and then, you know, if 25 points for that is cheap, if you just need a unit for that, yeah, it's. I mean, there is a use for very cheap screening units out there.
That's true.
I don't know if it's a general use case.
Yeah, because like I want my screens to not die to like 5 guys with bolters.
Incidental bolter fire, yeah. Hey, you know,
I don't know. I think the head takers themselves are great.
yeah, they're not too expensive. You get how many in a unit? 3
3 or 6
for 85 points.
for 85 points for 3. And they're 2 damage weapons. You can do an invuln. You get devastating wounds and precision, so they're good character killers.
Yeah, that's good. And
Again, against their quarry.
do you have to pick a character for quarry, or can you pick any unit?
Select 1 unit from your opponent's army.
Okay, so picking devastating units against a big monster or something
Yeah,
like
not
that
bad.
means they're going to punch up, or something with an invulnerable save. Or there are things that are particularly only weak to devastating wounds.
That's true.
So I could see a use case for them. I think these are better than Grey Hunters. I don't know if I'd bring them every time.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with that. I don't. They take buffs well, and I think they're fine, but they're too expensive to just like. You're not going to take like 6 in every list.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the wolves I would definitely need to
Yeah, I gotta
experiment
figure
with.
with it. I can see the use for a cheap screening chaff unit.
Yeah, I could see that. That's the
all.
last one of the new units.
So, interesting. We'll have to do a full codex review later. We just want to talk
Yes.
about the new units for this one. They all seem generally usable. Nothing here seems like a complete dud. Now, these points could change.
Yes,
The
so
launch.
they did come out with the codex points
Right.
when the book came out, so they were like usable beforehand.
Correct.
But this could all change,
yeah.
and every 3 months everything changes anyway.
Right.
But for currently, I think it's from good to fine.
Yeah.
Like I think the blood claws are good. I think the characters in general are very good. The Grey Hunters are fine.
Grey Hunters, I would actually say, are less than fine. They're
Yeah.
so expensive for what they do.
That's true.
My problem
180
with
so
them is the
much.
same problem I had with Tac Marines.
Yeah.
You can't take them in small units, and they don't do a lot for what
Yep.
you want them for. Yeah, mandatory large units is not great in 40k, just in general. So besides that, though, all pretty mild. So these will come out of pre-order on Saturday, the 12th of July.
Yes.
At which point you'll be able to get this book by itself and all of the juicy wolves within. Maybe don't, yeah.
Do you want to not put that in?
Sorry, I got Slanesh on the brain. That's it from us this time. Let us know below what you're excited for in Space Wolves, if anything, or if you're like me and you just don't touch the wolves at all. Or if you're like Mitchell and are a big wolf fan, as you can tell by the beard. We'll keep you updated on more 40k and Space Wolves content. Check it out on the channel, and we will see you next time.
Bye.